Was Martha Carson any kind of influence on you vocally when you were a kid, or some of those kind of country gospel singers? Because I hear a little bit of Martha Carson in your voice.
Do you?
I hear a little bit of Rosetta Tharpe in your voice, a little black in your voice, a little country, and you say you have some Indian in your background, right?
Yes, Cherokee. I'm more Cherokee than anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. You picked up on that, and you know things come back to you after a while.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, Martha Carson was big on the Grand Ole Opry then, and some of my first music was Satisfied, you know, and I don't know if she did this or not, but Lazarus, which was. I'm sorry, but it was a strange song, you know, but I did that real fast. The young people loved it in the meetings I would have, you know.
Yeah.
I later was promoted to new electric guitars, you know, so I played Chet Atkins style and sang Satisfied and Martha Carson. And yeah, she was a big influence on me. And the country singers were more so.
Oh, sure.
Than gospel, because I didn't know many famous gospel people.
To be honest with you, you were one of the first groups that I heard, you and maybe the Goodmans, who came more from a country perspective, even in the production. Because remember in the 50s, it was basically quartets with a piano accompaniment. And that music was pretty much like the pop music was, you know, on the other side of the fence, although they would have a rhythm section, but it would be more of a pop rhythm section rather than a country rhythm section.
Right.
First time I ever heard steel guitar was probably on your records and probably on the Goodman records. And so the early 60s, your influence with evidently the stuff that you grew up with that influenced you in Kentucky made a major difference in gospel music, I think, personally.
Well, see, we weren't even aware that we were taking right over the Grand Ole Opry sound just about in our first records, you know. That sound, I always loved steel guitar. Of course, you know, now there's a lot of acoustical sounds and that we do, but I still love that instrument. But I was influenced by that, and I'll tell you a little story. We had that accordion. One girl played accordion with us, and then she'd switch off to a bass, and I played a lead and then rhythm, and then we had I don't know, 2 or 3 instruments. We were a trio, and one girl, Shirley Bivens, at that time.
I remember.
12 years she was with us, and it was great, and a great girl, and she got married. It's the reason she left the group. But we were at the Memphis Quartet Convention. We just went to listen. And of course, everywhere we went, we had our instruments in the car because we was usually traveling somewhere for a revival or to sing somewhere. So we went inside and we were standing in the hall out there just listening. And J.D. Sumner walked up and he said, "I hear y'all can sing." And we were all really nervous. And he said, "Is that true?" And I said, "Well, they tell us that we sound pretty good." And he said, "Well, let me get over here in a corner and hear you." And I said, "Well, we don't have our instruments in here." He said, "Do you have them somewhere else where you could get them?" I said, "In the trunk of the car." He sent somebody with our group to get them, and we brought them in. Now, we were in the corner with all these people in the lobby, and we were singing. Well, Bill, he heard us. He said, "Go with me." We went backstage. Now, up until then, there were no trios.
What year would that have been? 1960?
Early 60s, yes. So he took us on stage, and we started singing, little trio.